In May 1998, Daimler-Benz paid $36 billion for Chrysler. It was the largest industrial merger in history. The press called it a marriage made in heaven. 9 years later, Daimler didn't sell Chrysler. It paid roughly $650 million net just to make Chrysler someone else's problem. How does $36 billion of value simply evaporate? Not through fraud, not through a market crash, through the deal itself. Let's put this one on the table and open it up. First, understand what makes this case disturbing. In 1998, there was no distressed target here. Daimler-Benz built the most profitable luxury cars in the world. Chrysler was the most efficient car maker in America. Minivans, Jeeps, trucks, fat margins. Two winners. The pitch deck logic was seductive. Shared platforms, combined purchasing, Mercedes engineering plus Chrysler's speed. Management promised billions in annual synergies. On paper, 1 + 1 = 3. And here's the first thing the deal documents tell you that the press release didn't. This was sold to shareholders, regulators, and employees as a merger of equals. Remember that phrase. In this business, it is almost always a negotiation tool, not a fact. At first, the market believed it. DaimlerChrysler stock started trading at $84 in November 1998 and hit $108 by January. Then reality began doing what reality does. Inside the company, two cultures collided. German engineers who planned in decade-long product cycles and American managers who shipped fast and fixed later. Mercedes executives blocked parts sharing with Chrysler. They feared cheap plastic in a Jeep would stain the three-pointed star. The synergies died in meeting rooms, one veto at a time. By late 2000, Chrysler was bleeding. A $512 million loss in a single quarter. The American executives who built Chrysler's success had left or been pushed out. Stuttgart sent its own man, Dieter Zetsche, to run Detroit. And then, in October 2000, CEO Eugen Schrempp gave an interview he would regret for the rest of his career. He admitted the merger of equals framing had been used, quote, for psychological reasons. He had always intended Chrysler to be a division, not a partner. That single sentence turned a business failure into a legal war. Kerkorian, Chrysler's largest individual shareholder, sued for over $1 billion, claiming shareholders had been deceived into approving the deal. He ultimately lost in court, but the reputational verdict was already in. Here's the practitioner's view, because this is the part most retellings miss. Merger of equals isn't just spin, it changes the price. Call it a takeover, and the buyer owes shareholders a control premium, often 30 to 40%. Call it a merger of equals, and you can pay far less for the same control. Schrempp's psychological reasons saved Daimler billions at signing and destroyed the trust the integration depended on. That trade-off was the deal. January 2001, 26,000 Chrysler jobs cut. 6 plants idled. The stock had lost more than half its value from the peak. The synergy slide from 1998 was now a restructuring slide. And then the infection crossed the Atlantic in the other direction. In 2005, Mercedes-Benz itself posted its first quarterly loss in over a decade. Quality rankings slipped. The luxury brand that was supposed to lift Chrysler was now being dragged down by it. Schrempp was out by the end of the year. The new CEO was Dieter Zetsche, the same man who had run Chrysler's restructuring. He did what unsentimental owners do. He ran the numbers on keeping Chrysler versus paying to leave. Leaving won. The headline said private equity firm Cerberus paid $7.4 billion for 80% of Chrysler. But headlines are not deal structures. Follow the money. Around $5 billion of it went into Chrysler itself, another $1 billion into its finance arm. After obligations, Daimler's net position was negative, roughly $650 million out of pocket. Cerberus, meanwhile, took on around $18 billion in pension and healthcare liabilities. Nobody bought Chrysler in 2007. They negotiated who would hold it when the music stopped. And the music stopped fast. 2 years later, in the 2009 financial crisis, Chrysler filed for bankruptcy and was handed to Fiat. Cerberus lost most of its equity. Even the vultures got burned. So the autopsy report. Cause of death, 4 findings. 1. The price assumed synergies that required cooperation the structure itself made impossible. 2. The deal was framed on a fiction, and when the fiction surfaced, trust died with it. 3. There was no real plan for integrating 2 incompatible cultures, and culture is where synergies actually live. 4. Mercedes could protect its brand or share its parts, never both. If you take one thing from this table, deals don't fail at signing, they fail in the 18 months after, and the seeds are always visible in the structure. Price is what you pay at signing. Integration is what you pay forever. Next on the table, AOL Time Warner. The only deal in history that makes Daimler-Chrysler look like a success story, a $99 billion write-off. Subscribe if you want to be in the room when we open it up.